Good morning, dear Dharma friends. How lovely to see you this morning. I had a little bit of a hurry up and get there moment this morning when I was all set to go, and then I realized I hadn't put out the garbage last night, and they come early, so I was rushing about doing that a few moments ago. So there's a little bit of smoke here in Portland, in my area, just a hint of it actually. When I look to the south, there are deep billows of smoke on the horizon, which is, I think, going through Salem right now. Fire. So I'm Robert Beatty. I'm coming to you from Portland, Oregon. This is the broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community, portlandinsight.org. A first-generation Theravadan, Buddhist inspired and foundationed center in Portland. So most of you are very familiar to me here on the front page. I'm glad of that, to see you. If there's anyone here for the first time, you're most welcome. And I hope discovering this community changes your life radically for the better. So I think I have a rather perfect poem for the morning. It's by Long Chenpa, a Dzogchen Tibetan teacher. I don't know his dates, but I think it was 1700s. Learning impermanence from nature. In the forest, by the example of dead leaves, come to realize that the body, youth, and senses change gradually and do not possess any true essence. By the example of empty lotus ponds, come to realize that various aspects of desire, wealth, and prosperity are finally going to change, and that there is no true essence in them, and that what is accumulated will be exhausted. By the example of the change of days, months, and the four seasons, come to realize that the blossoming spring flower-like body is subject to change as time passes. Its youth fades away, and the arrival of the Lord of Death is certain. By the example of the fall of ripened fruit, come to realize that all, young, old, or adult, are subject to die, and that the time of death is uncertain, and that what is born will die. By the example of the arising of reflections in ponds, come to realize that the various phenomena appear, but have no true existence. They are like illusions, a mirage and a water moon, and are certain to be empty of true existence. In the forest, by the example of dead leaves, come to realize that the body, youth, and senses change gradually and do not possess any true nature, any true essence. By the example of empty lotus ponds, come to realize that various objects of desire, wealth, and prosperity are finally going to change, that there is no true essence in them, and that what is accumulated will be exhausted. By the example of the change of days, months, and the 4 seasons, come to realize that the blossoming spring flower-like body is subject to change as time passes. Its youth fades away, and the arrival of the Lord of Death is certain. By the example of the fall of ripened fruit, come to realize that all, young, adult, or old, are subject to die, and that the time of death is uncertain, and that what is born will die. By the example of the arising of reflections in ponds, come to realize that the various phenomena appear but have no true existence. They are like illusions, a mirage, and a water moon, and are certain to be empty of true existence. Anicca, one of the 3 characteristics of existence. Everything which has a beginning has an ending. Forests burn. Forests have always burned. I remember reading a little while ago when that big ball of rock hit off the Yucatan, and it was the end of the dinosaurs. The article that I read said that the plume of molten rock went 1/3 of the way to the moon. And it went into the air, and as the earth turned, that rock, the hot rock, plummeted down and burned all of the Indian subcontinent. Imagine that. Things change big time. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. How does it change life? How does it change your experience of life? To really embrace the truth of anicca. At the start, it can be really unsettling. As we confront our denial and our fantasies and become much more realistic about life. There's grieving to do. There's the encounter with fear directly. And then gradually, or maybe suddenly sometimes, there's such a relief. It's such a relief to realize that we are actors on a stage. All the world's a stage. We have our exits and our entrances. And each lifetime, we play different parts. So let's do this practice that has to do with embracing the truth of change and examining the nature of what being born and creating a self and living with a self really, what it really means, what it really is. So there's the body, this body, your body. Your was in quotes. Notice the heaviness, the solidity of your body. This is the earth element. Notice the warmth and coolness in this body. Where is it warm? Where is it cool? This is the fire element. All of this warmth began with a fusion process on that which we think of as the sun. Every single bit of this warmth. The hot days of summer have resulted in this heat of the sun encountering plant leaves and storing away energy in fruits and vegetables, which we ate in the last day or so, and now they're producing heat. Heat, the fire element. Notice the vibrational quality of the sensations in your body. At a cellular level, there's a kind of motion. This is the air element. And you can notice the coming and going of your breath. It's more of air element, movement. And the water element, cohesiveness or fluidity. We can experience liquidity in the mouth. And also how the rest of the body coheres. It's not flowing just now. It's very viscous. Earth, air, fire, and water. The components of everything in the universe, in the ancient system. Come home to in-breathing and out-breathing. The miraculous phenomenon of awareness which somehow we have the experience of being able to direct, to choose that of which we are aware, to then develop concentration on that which we choose to pay deep, penetrating attention. And so we abide lovingly, persistently, compassionately in the rising and falling of the chest and abdomen, or in the sensations of the breath coming and going at the nostrils. There is, of course, likely some wandering of the mind. It wanders into the trance of the past and of the future. It worries about the future. It plans for the future. This is an essential function of mind. It allows us to be successful as a species and as individuals. However, unless we wake up and see these thoughts as thoughts, the emotions that they arise with as emotions, then we are living out of fate. Add in mindfulness, however, and we begin choosing which thoughts we persist with. We see the emotions as impersonal. And the law of karma becomes a close friend because we choose hundreds, thousands of times a day. We choose where we will abide. What actions of mind, speech, and body we will pursue. And so we interrupt these trance states. We interrupt desire and aversion and restlessness and sloth and torpor and doubt, the 5 hindrances. We see them clearly. If this is one of those moments when the mind is quiet, when the forces of dispersion are low or non-existent, one can simply abide in the present moment. And notice hearing as it occurs. Notice thoughts as they arise. Notice sensation in the body as it arises. Notice a breath as it comes and goes. This might be a time when there's lots of restlessness, where there's fear, where there's depression or physical pain. Sometimes our strategy would be to put aside the breath and really abide in the restlessness, in the fear, as difficult as it is, in that which we call anger or resentment, in the pain. Refuge in the Dharma, in the way things actually are, and in the knowledge, the understanding of the map of awakening, of the methodology of embracing life in its true fullness. Noticing how each breath has its beginning. The beginning morphs into rising, fullness, decline, falling. Life unfolding here in consciousness. As sensations, as liking and disliking. Open to the mental formations of thoughts and stories, the personality. The pleasant and the unpleasant. And let us remember our interbeing with each other. Just as I breathe, you breathe. Just as I have confidence and faith, so have you. Just as fear visits, so it does with you. And it's the same with mindfulness, concentration, joy, loneliness, shame, bliss. Just as this consciousness experiences spacious, open, loving moments, so does yours. Let us practice loving ourselves and each other. Loving and awareness are synonyms. It's like loving and equanimity, or loving and mindfulness, or curiosity. They are all descriptors of something which is beyond words. We can say, I love you. I am cultivating loving thoughts with you in mind. Or we could say, there is love. Or there is compassion. Someone's home is burning right now. It's our home. Someone's child is going into surgery this morning. It's our child. Someone is plotting some political coup somewhere, some nasty attack ad. We are them. And so we rest back into love and the interbeing, which is our true nature. And really land, let us really land in breathing in and breathing out. This moment, perhaps the ease of this moment, the resting back in the arms of love, resting back in the arms of this little practice community. Let's remember this all day. Whatever it is that you have to do today, imagine it now going forward, and why not do it from this place of great ease, or awareness at least, presence. We don't have control, but we do have influence. It's so it appears that we can choose between reactions and responses. And please now Notice your body touching the chair. Notice its heaviness. Now bringing awareness into the eyes, seeing. Letting the eyes open, aware of that process, and now seeing. Seeing, and we see each other in our many forms. What if it's really true that there's only one consciousness? That it takes birth in each of us? There's something powerful when we make eye contact with somebody. I want to see if I can do something here. I'm going to take my camera off the computer. And by way of gratitude to you for this beautiful little house, this is the... oh wait, I want to do this first. Spotlight video, boom. There's my view. Isn't that a gorgeous view? Look at the wind in the trees this morning. It's a relatively sheltered backyard, but it's blowing, and I don't think the light comes through on the video, but it's a kind of golden red hue to the light with the smoke. It's not much smoke. And I'll just give you a little, looking over the top of my monitor here. There's Buddha doing his thing. And the chop saw, because you can see the moldings are not on the windows yet. So thank you for providing me and us with this really beautiful place to broadcast from. A thought occurred to me as I was entering practice this morning. I have a fear. It's a common fear. It's the fear that something's going to go wrong with my body that will be really limiting. I'll have a stroke or heart attack or something go really wrong. And I've been struggling with my right hip for some time, seeing a physical therapist, and he recommended I get an x-ray, and I got the results last night. And it isn't arthritis, there's nothing really wrong with my hip. There is some degeneration in my lumbar spine on the right-hand side, but the pain actually is coming from muscles and tightness, so it indicates proceed further with the physical therapy and the exercise. But I was, and I'm relieved, right? It's like, oh good, I'm not going to have trouble walking for the rest of my life. But there is that fear. And there will come a moment when it really will be. There will be something that significantly limits my activity. And that's just, in a way, the reality of being in a separate body. We're so vulnerable. We're soft. We're undefended profoundly. And so this poem I began with learning about nature, learning about impermanence from nature. We have this learning about impermanence from nature all the time with our own bodies. So it's quite a journey, isn't it? Things are so unpredictable. I got a text last night and then again this morning from Melanie Moon, who's without power today. If you're here, Melanie, let us know. But my guess is she's in East County, about 8 miles that way. So I have an announcement or two. We had a board meeting yesterday and some increasing wonderful news about our financial circumstances and the opportunity that you have to support your own generosity and your own sense of participation and interbeing. Jim, do you remember the numbers? I'm forgetting now. Was it 30-some new donors, monthly donors?
Yeah, 37 over 2 weeks. You didn't have the up-to-date figures, but the 2 weeks that we had look at was 37 new donors. It didn't tell us how many older participants had increased. That wasn't in the
right.
data.
That's hard to pull out from Acceptiva, but it's very wonderful and encouraging, and I celebrate with those of you that have or are making regular contributions to the center, because it does change it, doesn't it? The sense, I know that's one of the things that I'm sorry we can't do now, but when we had volunteer days to work on the center, and we've had a lot, let me tell you, there's been a lot of days there at the center. But to wash the windows or to do something, to vacuum the carpet, it then makes it yours. And in fact, and this is probably redundant, but PIMC is a nonprofit. It isn't owned by anybody. It's owned by us, by you. And so it's ours. Just as the community of practice is ours, and we nurture it, number one, by participating and by showing up, and then also in this financial way. So if you're not a monthly donor, I encourage you, take the plunge, enjoy it, and you can donate any amount, of course. We're no longer accepting children. That whole thing about they wanted my firstborn. We're no longer accepting children, but just about anything else is fine. So classes are coming up, starting soon. Kate Staples is teaching Friday nights. Candle on Sunday nights, twice a month. Jim is back under his Monday night. Rumi's guest house. And much more is happening. So, welcome to PIMC. So now, the program is you. Is there something that you are drawn to share? You remember Art Linkletter? Did any of you see that? He would have kids on and he would say, and what did your mom and dad tell you not to talk about? That was always very interesting. I'm sitting here with an interesting experience. I see you, and I'm so curious. It's like, how are you today? What's happening? I suppose I could be just bold and do that, but I think it's not wise. Tim, hi, you're outdoors.
I am outdoors. It's nice out. It's not going to be nice for much longer, but I'm not enjoying walking. The it's not too smoky here, just a little bit. My brother and his wife just got evacuated. They live out west of Portland in basically a forest, trees all around, and the police, they were already packing up, planning on going. The police showed up and said, "You gotta get out there. You gotta get out now. The fire's 15 minutes away."
Oh,
So they just grabbed their dogs and, grabbed their dogs and a pair of socks. And my nephew, bless his heart, was right there. Drove them out, took them home. And so they're perspiring freely and don't know if their house is going to be there. They're not this morning. I haven't heard whether it's still standing or not. And everything's dead.
wow. Where are they, Tim?
They're out west of Portland. They're not too far from Wilsonville, but they're out. They butt right up on a national forest or state forest or something. I can't tell you the exact geography of it, but it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's just trees and wildlife. Cougars come through there and coyote buggies and all this good stuff. But anyway, I was thinking how that puts things in perspective. There's problems in perspective.
Yeah.
Makes little things seem awfully small. Mm-hmm. And it also puts the human being in perspective. There's so much strife and turmoil there, and arguing and people hating on each other and arguing about stuff. But in that way, with this fire, we're all in the same boat. Love that one person's allowed to lose their home just as likely as another person, with no regard to what they believe in.
Right.
So that's a little silver lining in a really awful thing.
Thanks, Tim. I just remembered I have another announcement, which is that historically Jen and I have taken 10 days to go camping in August, which just didn't happen this year. And we are going from Sunday night through Wednesday noon to a B&B the plan is this, in Zigzag, which is up toward Mount Hood on the Salmon River. And so Monday morning, Jim will be hosting you. And on Tuesday, it will be Kendall. And on Wednesday, it will be Gregory. And we're not sure, to those of you on Facebook and YouTube, we're not sure if we will be able to pull together the Facebook broadcast. And I think I'm almost sure we won't be doing the YouTube. So there will be an absence there.
Hi, Robert and Tango. This is Amy in Seattle. Can you hear me?
Hello, Amy. How nice to see you.
Hi. I love Tim's very positive take on the fires, and I don't want to rain on that. But I just did want to share I had said I was going to become an empty nester, and I did. And my daughter's in Salem, Oregon. And it's a little exciting there now. And she was having a lot of trouble settling in to college in COVID. She was starting to do better, and then she was starting to have trouble again before the fires hit. So now, as you can imagine, it's already really isolating. So now they're isolated and they're supposed to stay inside all the time. And then I think it was the Proud Boys came by, had their little excitement at the Capitol and brought guns. And there were demonstrators that were so frightened they were running to campus and trying to knock on doors, trying to get in, but of course the doors are locked. So the students were told, to stay inside. And anyway, this didn't help any of her anxiety or not feeling great about being there. As a parent, sort of struggling with, they're okay. I mean, Salem's not going to get evacuated. I seriously doubt. But, their colleague's terrible and she's movable and, did we go get her? And we're not going to. But I guess even before the fires, I was struggling with sort of apocalyptic feelings and and I'm trying to figure out how to help her when, I can't honestly say everything's going to be okay because I don't know and it's not truthful. But at the same time, as a parent, I have to give her some comfort and some strength. So I don't know if you have any thoughts.
I'm feeling pretty teary. Having children is just too vulnerable a thing to do. I think the tack that I am drawn to take in such instances, and we've had a few, Tara was, in my experience, lost in India for several days. That was pretty terrifying. But I really think just being really honest is very helpful. It's like, I'm scared too, honey. This is frightening. And here's how I'm dealing with it, And things will probably be, your voice tone is more than anything important. So things are probably going to be fine. Bad things happen, and I'm sure you're safe. But I'm not a believer in fake, everything's fine, you'll be fine, it'll be terrific. But to really own that it's, that you love, that we love them, and that we are affected by what's happening with them. I know when Tara, my daughter, went off to New York to be a nurse several months ago, and then she got COVID, and she was alone. She really didn't have any friends there. She had friends in New York, but they weren't meeting. And she called and said one morning, "Well, Dad, I have it." And I've always known or believed in her travels around the world, and she lived in the Amazon with the tribe, and she lived in Thailand for a year, her junior year of high school. I always knew I could be there in at most 48 hours, and that I would go. And when she called and said, "I have it," Jennifer heard it across the room from my phone. I had it on speakerphone. And Jennifer said, "You're not going." And Tara said, "I'll be fine, you can't come." But it was hard. Just as sitting in Seattle while your precious daughter is getting smoked. It's hard. And it shows the nature of our attachments and how vulnerable we are, and how exquisite it is that you have the anguish that you have out of that connection. And then how do you bear that? Well, that's where the practice really comes in, that you really take time to sit and practice. And also, do you know about Tonglen practice? Tibetan practice of taking and sending. In brief, it goes like this. How many other mothers do you suppose have a daughter at a distance that they're worried about and something bad is happening? It's millions. It's anything that we're experiencing is happening by many others. And so there's a willingness to acknowledge that this suffering that I have is a piece of the great suffering of women missing their daughter right now, daughter in some kind of dangerous, difficult circumstance. And then there's an imagination that one's heart is the heart of the Buddha or the heart of Kuan Yin. And you imagine drawing all the suffering from all the women in that circumstance into your heart. And the Tibetans imagine a coil of black smoke. It's not really into your heart, it's into the heart of the Buddha, the heart of Kuan Yin. And then on out-breath, you breathe back love and light and compassion and ease and awakening. And a crucial piece is that on the in-breath, you include your own suffering. That your suffering is the suffering of mothers everywhere. And I was amazed the first time I was in a difficult circumstance and tried this. It blew my socks off because it was like something about the extra anguish of, oh no, this is happening to me, the poor me mind. Somehow or another it's softened, and it's softened into compassion, which is, oh, we're really in this together. This is a natural phenomenon. Does that make sense? As a theory, anyway?
Yeah, I guess it does, and I like the idea of that practice. I guess it's not that I'm suffering so much for myself or her, or so terrified for her. It's more that a little bit of that combined with just feeling so worried about the state of the world and how to talk to her about that, and wrapped up with Buddhism, and accepting change, but that not really being comforting right now, when she's 18 and in the middle of it, like how do you talk about that to an 18-year-old, I guess is what I was asking.
Aha. Well, I guess we just do our best and respond as lovingly as we can in the moment. And this may be a moment of real growth for her. And, I mean, you could also always say you have to be careful not to proselytize. That's a quick way to get them to hang up. But well, this is how I'm making sense of it. Life is really unpredictable. And there's lots of suffering. I'm remembering when Tara, my daughter, was, 5, 6. It was Christmas, and she wanted a particular doll. And so it was within our price range. And so Santa brought the doll. And she opened the doll, a little dolly something or other. And her face went from excitement to disappointment. And she said, "Daddy, where's the music?" Because this little doll danced and sang on the TV. And that Christmas, and probably every Christmas, probably obnoxiously every Christmas, when the kids were disappointed after opening everything, I would always give a little talk about satisfaction not coming from things. Probably I started a bit early. But it was true. I would watch, and they'd get lots of stuff they wanted, and then they'd be disappointed. Of course, because the hole they were trying to fill wasn't going to be filled with advertised plastic. So good luck, my dear. I hope you. Good luck isn't the right word, but yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. here.
Oh, good. Yay.
Hi, Robert. This is Kat.
Hello, Kat.
Hello. This feels like such a small and silly question in comparison to what I've heard this morning, but I want to ask it while it feels small, which is that I've been hearing and reading and learning for really the first time at all, registering that life is impermanent, and sort of starting to feel like I understood it until my cat, who always comes back in the evenings, didn't come back last night, and she ended up coming back much later. But all of a sudden, it's like there's no chance of her life being impermanent, and that's not possible. And a lot of seeing that reactivity and seeing that, but not knowing what to do about it, like not knowing how to make choices from an understanding of impermanence. Like, do I go look for the cat? Do I stay at home and meditate on impermanence? Like, what do I do with it? Is the question.
Well, I think that for myself, after all these years, every now and then my dog gets out, little Budo gets out. He's deaf. And there's always an incipient panic or a sense of, oh no, this is it. This is the time when he won't, and so then I watch that happen in the mind, and then in will come a reflection of, well, I knew this moment would come, and here it is. This is anicca. And there can simultaneously be the mind starting to do its freak out, but restraining that so it doesn't go full blown. And then I can with that freak out mind observed, then one can be much more strategic. Does it make sense to go out looking? Does it make sense to go out looking on foot? Should you start printing missing cat posters? So when we do all the normal things, but there's also a deep place which is ready or prepared for, this is the truth. Right? This is the way life really is. I was given this cat for a visit. It was a few years. Cats live shorter time than I do. And now starts the grieving and learning about impermanence. This was here at the moment when I picked up that beautiful little kitten. This parting was implied. I spend a few minutes. Budo's had a great summer, my dog, because I've been out here in the backyard a lot, and he loves lying in the dirt. But every day I spend a few minutes with him, reflecting on his impermanence and patting him. Because before long, he's 14, and before long there's going to be this gaping hole in my life because he's been with me everywhere. He was born on my bed. He's been in my office with thousands of individual meetings with people, and he's really my pal. And when he goes, it'll be big, and I keep preparing for that, not in a morbid sort of way, but in a very much, wow, I get to pat you again. When I go into the bedroom at night, he and our other dogs sleep. They have their own little beds, and I always stop every night, as I did with my children. With only a couple of nights when I was home, even when it wasn't my turn, I would always go in and tuck them in before I went to bed. And that came actually, it's not an unusual thing for parents to do, but I was with Luke when he was a baby at Brighton Bush. And Stephen Levine, and he was in he was in the Dharma hall with me. Stephen Levine was giving a talk on impermanence. And there's a story about the cup being broken. Ajahn Chah, don't want to get too complicated with this, but a monk asked Ajahn Chah, how can you be so happy in this world where things are so impermanent? And Ajahn Chah picked up a cup and said, you see this cup? For me, this cup is already broken. Because there will come a day when it gets broken, when it falls to the ground or when I drop it. And Stephen changed the story. Luke made a little noise and he said, live with your possessions as though they were already broken, and live with your loved ones as though they were already dead. And for a moment, the realization was, good God, this baby, this 6-month-old will be dead. And it was a very powerful teaching for me in that moment. And so it wasn't morbid. It was really Dharma practice that I would go in and pat them at night and say, well, good night. And then in the morning, it's, wow, I get to greet this child for another day. Even if I was in a crappy mood or I'd been up a lot of the night, there was a sense of the preciousness of it, which now there is with Buddha, and I cultivate it. We could even cultivate it in this interaction, which is, wow, this is a precious moment of interaction with Kat. And Kat's not going to be here forever. This is a passing, precious gift. Thank you for that. Just a little unimportant question. Thanks for bringing it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, sweetie. Neat. How are we doing for time? Oh my God, it's 12 after 8. Sometimes time flies. Sarah Hamilton, you're down there in smoke, I think, huh?
I am indeed. It's the sky's a lovely shade of yellow right now.
Huh.
Thanks for that last talk, by the way. I just lost my kitty cat about a week ago, so it was good to hear. It's been a really rough week down here. Yesterday we woke up with the power out, and it was dark, and the sun didn't come out until like 9 or something. And the sun never came out, but it just didn't get light. I was sitting here in the dark waiting for the light to come out.
It was that thick.
It was that thick, yeah. And then it got dark again around 5. The crickets were out chirping.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a coworker that lost her house, and a couple more that are on level 2 evacuations waiting for the ball to drop. I packed up my car with my things in case I have to leave, so it's, yeah, as the other, I don't remember who it was saying, it's kind of been kind of a rough week down here in Salem.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
May you be safe. Well, anything anyone would like to share? Wow. I just looked at the chat. I don't leave the chat open, obviously. Tim Blood wrote, and when Luke was crying, Stephen said, a bundle of dukkha. And Kat says, if anyone's impacted by the fires and needs a place to stay, please text me. I have an empty 2-bedroom apartment that is open for use if anyone is evacuated. There's no furniture, but there's power and internet. And you could make it work. Wow. Well, I guess it's time to move on into our days with our hearts open and a willingness to feel what we're feeling. And I guess we've had a little glimpse, a little sample of dukkha, the first noble truth, the very first thing the Buddha taught. That's an interesting thing to notice, I think. He said, there's suffering. There really is suffering in our lives because they're so unstable. And because we have very strong longings for our lives to be predictable and stable and be always pleasant. And they aren't. So let's go out on our song, but really think about the words. And you know, it's Bhavatu Sabbe Mangalam. Bhavatu Sabbe Mangalam. Is what we're translating as may all beings be happy. And it actually would translate better as may all beings be the recipient of all blessings. It's from the Mangalam Sutta, the Sutta on blessings. And among the blessings are encountering the Dharma, practicing, freeing ourselves from identification with suffering, developing loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. And the ultimate blessing is that of awakening. So when we say may all beings be happy, it can seem a little trivial. Happy, well, it's happy. It's like I'm happy because it's my birthday party or something. It's not that. It's may all beings really be free from suffering. So let's go with our usual song, but with that deeper meaning. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Goodbye, dear friends. Be safe. Let's all remember to wash our hands, wear a mask. That's still happening too. Whoa, look what happens. Look what happens with my picture when I put my hand into the sunlight. Whoa. Meow. Meow. Meow.
Healing hands.
Goodbye. Goodbye, friends.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Stay. See you tomorrow.
Buddha willing and the creek don't rise. Bye-bye. Goodbye, dear friends on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for being here.